And let me offer you a very warm welcome, given the weather outside, a very warm welcome here to the Barony Hall at the University of Strathclyde. The Barony is one of the jewels in the university's estate. And of course, the most important use for this wonderful facility is to graduate these wonderful graduands, many of whom are in the hall before me, and many of whom, fine, talented people, are behind us as well, here to celebrate the fruits of their efforts and the great support that they've had from their families and friends as well. So in this hall, we do many things. Of course, graduations first and foremost. We have great banquets, we host conferences, and some of the students may remember we occasionally have had examinations in here, so perhaps the last time you were in here, it wasn't such fond memories, but you're here now to enjoy yourself. To the families and friends, you're here to enjoy yourselves. So when your family member or those that you're here to support come across the stage, I'm happy that you let them be aware that you're in the hall, within reason. But we're here to make this a joyful occasion for the Strathclyde Institute of Education and our Centre for Lifelong Learning. Fantastic people are here are going out to educate generations of people who hopefully in due course will find themselves back here. To the graduands, when you come across the stage, of course, I will cap you. And when I tap you on the head as gently as possible, that will be me conferring your degree. It's an ancient ceremony, but it's somewhat different from what we used to do. This piece of furniture before me, I've knelt on this 3 times through my career, for my bachelor's, my master's, and my PhD, but we're more egalitarian these days, so you need not kneel before the Vice-Chancellor today. You can simply come across and we'll cap you, then you'll receive your parchment as you go across. And just to let you have an idea of the scale, we'll have about 4,000 graduations over the course of this year, so growing year on year, putting out an army of fantastic Strathclyders out to change the world, just as you all will do in due course. So these ceremonies are wonderful in any case, but occasionally we get a chance to put a further element of enjoyment in there, and today is one of those occasions when we recognise people who have made outstanding contributions in their careers. And we have one such individual with us today, and that's Dame Nancy Rothwell, who is a friend to this institution, a colleague of mine, about whom you will hear much more shortly from Professor Duncan Graham, who will be introducing Nancy. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will now open this congregation formally. Relax and enjoy yourself, and I would now invite Duncan to introduce our honorary graduate. Thank you very much indeed.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present to you Professor Dame Nancy Rothwell, President and Vice-Chancellor at the University of Manchester. Nancy is a neuroscientist, but nearly didn't become one, as she found biology somewhat boring at school. She dropped biology and opted for arts, maths, physics and chemistry A-levels, as she wanted the option to study art instead of going to university. In the end, she opted for a physiology degree at the University of London on a whim, graduating in 1976. The whim paid off, as this was the first step in a journey that would see her become an influential figure in British academia. After earning her PhD from the University of London in 1978 in 2 years, and I should say that most PhDs are anything from 3 to 4 years, Nancy embarked on postdoctoral research, first within the Department of Physiology at Queen Elizabeth College London, and then the Department of Physiology, St George's Hospital Medical School, also in London. Her early research identified mechanisms of energy balance regulation, obesity, and conditions where there is loss of body weight and muscle mass, and her research demonstrated the role of a specialised tissue called brown fat in controlling metabolism. In 1984, Nancy was awarded a Royal Society Research Fellowship and then relocated to Manchester in 1987. Her research has focused on the role of inflammation in brain disease and identified the role of the cytokine interleukin-1, or IL-1, which is a chemical messenger used or found in diverse forms of brain injury. Her recent studies have begun to elucidate the mechanisms regulating IL-1 release and its action, and our group is conducting clinical trials of an IL-1 inhibitor in stroke. In 1994, Nancy became a Professor of Physiology at Manchester and was then awarded a prestigious Medical Research Council Research Chair from 1998 to 2010. She became President and Vice-Chancellor of the University of Manchester in July 2010, the first woman to lead the University of Manchester or either of its two predecessor institutions, and she still manages to retain research activity while she's carrying out this role. She also still gives lectures to undergraduate and master's students, and she will step down from this role at the end of July this year after 14 years of unprecedented leadership. As a testament to our commitment to fostering innovation and collaboration, the University of Manchester has become home to the National Graphene Institute and the Henry Royce Institute, which aims to be a world-leading centre for advancing materials research and commercialisation, further cementing the university's position as a global leader in cutting-edge research. Under Nancy, the University of Manchester has also expanded its focus on social responsibility, launching initiatives that address some of the world's most pressing challenges, such as climate change, poverty and social inequality. This holistic approach to education and research embodies her vision of a university that not only generates knowledge, but also contributes positively to the local and global community. Nancy was chair of the Russell Group from 2020 to 2022, as a Deputy Lieutenant for Greater Manchester, a Commissioner on the Law Family Commission on Civil Society, and a member of the UK Investment Council, the Oxford Road Corridor Board, the Northern Powerhouse Partnership Board, and the Innovation Greater Manchester Board, as well as the UK Biobank Board. So quite a busy person. Nancy was the founding president of the Society of Biology, now the Royal Society of Biology, and has previously served as co-chair of the Prime Minister's Council for Science and Technology. She was president of the British Neuroscience Association and a council member of the Royal Society, the MRC, the BBSRC and Cancer Research UK. She was a non-executive director of AstraZeneca for 9 years and chaired the AstraZeneca Board Science Committee. In 2003, she won the prestigious Pfizer Research Prize, and in 2004 was elected a Fellow of the Royal Society, and in 2005 was honoured with a damehood. Nancy takes a strong and active interest in public communication of science and regularly gives talks to schools and the public. She contributes to television, radio and the press, particularly on sensitive issues in science. And in 1998, Nancy delivered the Royal Institution Christmas Lectures for the BBC on homeostasis, or how mammals regulate their bodies. Nancy is a strong advocate for the advancement of women in science, technology and engineering and mathematics. She has used her platform to inspire and empower a new generation of female scientists. When Nancy was starting her career, there were very few female role models in the field of pharmacology, physiology. And I have it on good authority that those coming through after Nancy were all very impressed by her early ability to carry off pink hair so well. And you may note that Nancy's sporting the university colours in her own hair today. When asked about work-life balance and downtime, Nancy cites her enjoyment of daydreaming, good food, animals, driving fast cars, and chilling out in her house in Sweden. So in conclusion, through her research contributions and leadership roles, Nancy has had and continues to have a major and highly positive influence in UK biomedicine. It is with great pleasure, therefore, Principal and Vice-Chancellor, that with the authority of Senate, I ask you to confer upon Professor Dame Nancy Jane Rothwell the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa.
Dame Nancy, I create you Doctor of Science, honoris causa. We are very proud of your association with Strathclyde and welcome to the Strathclyde family. Many congratulations.
So thank you, Duncan. Thank you, Jim. Thank you to the University of Strathclyde for this fantastic honour. My university and the University of Strathclyde has a number of important partnerships. We're both what's called part of trailblazer regions. We're both centres for innovation and investment. And of course, I've known Jim for a long time. We served on the Prime Minister's Council for Science and Technology together and stay in touch now. And we've had a good opportunity today to catch up on news and gossip, of course. So this is really a great honour for me, and I do want to thank you. But I also want to say that today is much, much more important than me, and there are people here who are much more important than me, and I'm referring, of course, to you, the graduates today. You should feel incredibly proud of what you've achieved. Young people today have come through some very difficult times, and yet you've succeeded. I know you will all have worked hard, you will have had support, and your family and friends should feel equally proud of you. Those of you here today should be celebrating what they have achieved. I hope that during your time here, you've done more than just learn about your discipline and gain a degree, which certainly will help you in the world to come and your world of work and so on. I hope you've also formed views on a number of subjects, learnt extra skills, made lifelong friends, and if it's anything like my university, I also feel that sometimes we're a dating agency because many of you will have met your lifelong partners for the future. So I'm a scientist, but I'm actually very pleased that I'm here at a ceremony for humanities, for education and lifelong learning. As a scientist, I feel it's my place to support the arts and humanities, who some seem to feel are less important than shiny things in science and engineering. Sorry, Jim. And just yesterday, I was on the BBC Radio 4. They asked me to talk about the value of science for the country. And I used the opportunity to say, but don't forget all those disciplines in humanities, which are just as important for the future prosperity of our country. So today you will graduate. You will become graduates of the University of Strathclyde. I would urge you all to wear that with pride, to be ambassadors for your university, and certainly don't make this the last day you are in contact, because they will want to see you, they will want to hear from you, they will want to know what you are doing. So good luck to all of you, and thank you for letting me share this important day with you. Thank you.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the University and by the authority of Senate, I present to you these students. For the degree of Doctor of Education, Diana Douglas. David Alexander Duncan. Paul Hamilton. Shung-Cho Lee. Valerie Ann Martin. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for Research and Education, Stuart Farmer. For the degree of Master of Science in Genealogical, Paleographic and Heraldic Studies, Heidi Natasha Curtin. Jonathan Matthew Lodge. Stacia Letitia Martindale. In Safety and Risk Management, Kevin Kendall. Pravin Vasant Naguda. Oyeniyi Adidayo Oyewolan. Aaron Alexander Tills. Wilson. In Applied Educational and Social Research, Emily Jane Warwick. In Autism, Teresa Leanta Pius. In Education Studies, Oluwafunmileo Ayobami Adejumo. Oluwatomipe Abidemi Adekoya. Adiola Oyelele Adeleke. Abdulrahim Wali Akinlade. Olawakemi Kai Akunyili Williams. Chimezie Lotache Anerobi. Samson Francis. Dara Hajiyeva. Rashidat Ajoke Ibrahim Lawal. Rosemary Iyibosa Izijola. Ya Foriwa Kusi. Oluwole Oluwaseyi Lawal. Faith Mark Maikaji. Christy Mariam Varghese. Gloria Uchechi Indukuba. Nancy Adaoma Emetuwadim. Monachiso Vivian Obian Kongwa. Olayinka Rafiu Ogulaja. Awautemitope Olaran Waju. Helen Ofalake Oni. Vishaka Ashok Solanki. Olushola Sunday Shoyemi. Peace Akuna Young. Mariam Zahra. Tunzila Zia. In Practitioner Research, Elizabeth Marie Fennell. In TESOL and Intercultural Communication, Fahma Bivi. Rosma Haslin Azureni Binti Mustafa. For the degree of Master of Education in Autism, Alma Hegarty. In Early Years Pedagogue, Deborah Ann Brown. Catherine Brooks McGregor Finnegan. Jackie Fulton. Roisin Elizabeth Geddes. In Education Studies, Gillian Georgina Ferguson. Abigail Elizabeth Gallagher. Jane Hart. Christy McLennan. Mary McLean. Ian Stewart. In professional practice, Morag Montgomery Bain Bouvert. Mateo Diego Demelas. Katie Lavelle. Nadine Sinclair. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Education and English and Creative Writing, Rahat Beg. Ellie Olivia Gaston. In Education and French with International Study, Danielle Leah Garofano. In Education and History, Louise Jane Thompson. In Education and Journalism, Media and Communication, Megan Amy Scott. In Education and Politics and International Relations, Amy Campbell. In Education and Psychology, Ellie Hannah Foy. In Education and Psychology with International Study, Faye L. Donnelly. In Education and Social Policy, Erin Smith Canavan. Lucy Ewer. In Education and Spanish, Lindsay Robin Doyle. In Education and TESOL, Mohammed Saeed Nasser Al Abdul Salam. Abdul Aziz Matar Saif Al Abri. Ali Hussein Ali Salah Al Ajmi. Salim Abdullah Salim Hamud Al Badri. Al Muatsem Sultan Muhammad Ali Al Ghafri. Ali Badar Ali Rashid Al Jassasi. Louis Abdul Wahad Muhammad Al Marboi. Yusuf Abdullah Muhammad Al Sulaitni. In Humanities and Social Sciences, Katie Louise Airdrie Grieve. Lauren Rachel Kirk. Caitlin Elizabeth McPhee. Holly Ann McDowell. In primary education, Rachel Elizabeth Adam. Abigail Adamick. Taylor Joanne Alexander. Lauren Angus. Jennifer Arthur. Emma Barclay. Monica Barrett. Alexandra Rose Bell. Kirsten Blanche. Alexandra Boris. Emma Bowman. Shona Brown. Erin Breach Cannon. Megan Elizabeth Carberry. Ashley Chi Mun Chan. Amy Cochrane. Holly Conlon. Eve Lauren Conley. Claire Catherine Cunningham. Kaylee Lee Curley. Amy Curry. Kirsten Doherty. Kira Ann Elliott. Becky Fraser. Lucy Gallagher. Kira Louise Gibson. Lara Ann Gibson. Ava Forsyth Gilday. Kerry Gray. Siobhan McLaughlin Hale. Katie Louise Heron. Faith Houston. Ailey Howie. Midden Hughes. Aksa Irfan. Courtney Marie Jenkins. Lauren Kelly. Abby Kirk. Kirsty Gillian Kitson. Zara Elizabeth Lydon. Ailey Logan. Neve Linus. Laura Ella Joy MacDonald. Olivia Jack MacDonald. Amanda McAdam. Abby MacDonald. Cara Louise McDougall. Olivia McFadden. Emma McGarry. Emily Mary Catherine McGee. Anya Grace McGladdery. Laura McMullen. Amy McWhinney. Jonathan Mellon. Abby Nicole Murray. Brooke Jade Neville. Michelle O'Leary. Rachel O'Rourke. Ewan Purdy. Iona Purdy. Katie Louisa Wraith. Lucy Claire Reddy. Rebecca Reid. Samantha Megan Reynolds. Chloe Sasha Robertson. Ellie Louise Robertson. Mary Robertson. Olivia Rose Roach. Alison Ann Ross. Alex Elizabeth Sanderson. Martha Scott. Jennifer Helen Shaw. Karen Shearer. Dana Smith. Eve Mackay Patrick Smith. Lucy Spence. Sophie Stewart. Kirsten Stibbles. Ailey Struthers. Fionn Sum. Suzanne Taggart. Donna Louise Taylor. Maya Tenby. Anna Margaret Thompson. Beth Margaret Tobin. Emily Tong. Eleanor May Waddington. Rebecca Helen Walker. Rosemary Wallace. Emma Thomasina Wilson. Sophie Wilson. Martina Emilia Wojcik. Ellie Beth Wynn. In primary education with international study, Yasmin Alton. Jilly Harvey. Karen Louise Balfour Lowe. Sophie Newberry. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Curricular Studies, Tasneen Fatima Abid. In Education and Curricular Studies with Teaching Qualification in Home Economics, Stephanie Connell. Eve Connor. Nicola Jane Drummond Yule. Adam Gorol. Brian William Gunn. Anna Kerr. Andrew Mackenzie. Sophie Quinn. Danielle Reed. Victor Wozniacenskis. In Education and Curricular Studies with Teaching Qualification in Technological Education, Sarah Aitken. Olivia Borek. Declan Hill. Robert Kirkwood. Liam Stephen Cush. Ryan McEnany. Corbin McCracken. For the degree of postgraduate diploma in education studies, Aishat Iyabo Akinogan. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Primary Education, Kayleigh McConville. For the degree of Master of Science in Education Studies, Gideon Asumadu Adi. Opeyemi Elizabeth Aleshi. Sarah Amelia Oromedia. Temitope Uluwase Kipunmi Olapegma. For Ashade Alice Roshilu. Madiha Khan.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's give the class of 24 a big round of applause. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, and now to all of our Strathclyde graduates from today's ceremony, let me reiterate our warm welcome to this fantastic ceremony, a day that none of you will forget, because it marks the successful conclusions of years of hard work, and now you've graduated in front of your proud families, your friends, supporters, and indeed your classmates. And today we welcome visitors from across Scotland, throughout the UK, and of course from a wonderful international community. We're delighted to see all of you here to join in our celebrations. Importantly, your university, Strathclyde, is an institution where freedom of thought is valued and encouraged. We're a place that's both tolerant and inclusive, and where people of diverse national, cultural and social backgrounds come together here to enjoy an excellent education and a shared student experience. And at Strathclyde, we benefit from having our staff and students from around 130 countries. Ours is a socially progressive community, one that seeks to be an exemplar for modern society, because we're plural, multicultural, and we try to be enlightened. It's our responsibility, graduates, it's your responsibility too, to continue to challenge unacceptable practices, not least by those in power, by using reason and by exemplifying the best features of modern society. And we do this, of course, in the knowledge that we're experiencing war in Europe once again because of Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, and we're witnessing the horror of the conflict in the Middle East and the humanitarian disaster in Gaza. So there's never been a greater need for a new generation of leaders that are professional, ethical, and empathetic, with a commitment to tolerance and a sense of purpose, namely graduates, every one of you that's graduating today. And remember, democracy is precious, and you're also graduating at a time of political upheaval and uncertainty across the globe. This year, for example, elections are taking place in 65 countries. Over 2 billion people, a quarter of the world's population, are eligible to vote, including, of course, here in the UK. So I encourage you, graduates, to make your voice count in the ballot box. But of course, most importantly, we're here to acknowledge and recognise the fruits of your hard work, the learning you've built up and the successful completion of your degree course, because this is your passport now to making a full contribution to your career and to society at large, in spite of the flux and the uncertainty that we face. And you're graduating in a very special year for your institution. While we're 228 years old, we're actually marking our 60-year celebration, our Diamond Jubilee anniversary since we got our Royal Charter. And that was 1964, and this mace on the stage here represents the royal assent for us to grant degrees such as you've received today. And that Royal Charter took what was the Royal College of Science and Technology, and it became the University of Strathclyde, the first university to be established in Scotland for almost 400 years, and Britain's first technological university. And remember, we're the 8th oldest university in the UK. And you may recall, in more recent times, only 2.5 years ago, when Glasgow opened its doors to the world and showed Glasgow to the world, we hosted COP26, you remember, a very proud moment for Glasgow, the summit of world leaders which came together to agree measures to minimise global warming and climate change. And that existential challenge exists even to this day. COP26 saw us at Strathclyde engage very deeply with the visiting community. I had the privilege of hosting John Kerry, Special Presidential Climate Envoy, Michael Bloomberg, a fellow electrical engineer, although he wasn't known for his engineering. It was for business success and being Mayor of New York. And we had the highlight of hosting former US President Barack Obama here on the campus. He came to speak with young people and activists to talk about their critical role that your generation can and will play in tackling climate change, many of the problems that my generation have given you to take on board. Of course, he arrived here under some secrecy for the sake of security, but through the powers of social media, his visit didn't last a secret too long, and when he left us, there were several hundred people waiting to say goodbye to him, having welcomed him to Glasgow. And when Mr. Obama left here, he turned on his heels at the steps of the Learning and Teaching building and gave a simple but powerful message to those that were gathered outside. He paused in the steps and said this: "Get active." And I repeat that to all of you here, our graduates on the stage and the graduates in the hall today. Get active. Get active in your careers and the professional route that you take. Whatever you choose to do to make a difference in your personal and professional lives, go ahead and apply yourselves. That's something I subscribe to. I was brought up here in Glasgow, in a sunny hamlet just across the Clyde called Govan. And the town's historical motto is nihil sine labore, or nothing without hard work. And that's something I absolutely embrace every day. You're all very highly accomplished now. You're smart people, you've got ambitions, but never forget that particular requirement to apply yourselves and work hard. That very often makes the difference as you now approach the start of your future careers. Because today you've become Strathclyde alumni, and you're the latest of the university's torchbearers, just like those from many generations of graduates that have gone before you. And with all that you've successfully gone through, I'm sure you would agree that you couldn't have done this without the backing and encouragement of this wonderful community of supporters represented in the hall today. And it's fitting that we acknowledge their part in the successful completion of your university studies. Our graduates and the university at large owe you a significant debt of gratitude. So graduates and staff, please join me in saying a big thank you to the families, friends and supporters for all that they've done. And for our excellent academic staff too, and support staff, this is a very important day too, because ultimately your success is their reward. Because Strathclyde has worked hard to provide you with high quality education and a first-class university experience for all of our students, regardless of background. So graduates, families and friends, please join me in saying thank you to this terrific group of staff. So as you leave us today, and as you've been encouraged already to keep in touch with us, but remember that we were founded in 1796. Although I still like to think of us as a 200-year-old startup organisation with that same entrepreneurial spirit, with drive, excitement and purpose, as in the time of our establishment. And throughout our history, Strathclyde has remained faithful to our founding principles. And we were established, and I quote in the language of the day, for the benefit of all mankind. Having been the only higher education institution established in Scotland during the time of the Enlightenment, we were named as Anderson's Institution. And we still drive forward that university strategy in the same spirit, making it wholly relevant for the 21st century. Our founder, Professor John Anderson, a physicist, or natural philosopher, as he would have been called in the day, with some good engineering capability, I should say also. He had strong links with Benjamin Franklin, the American inventor and academic. Strong correspondence between them. He accompanied Franklin when he was here in the UK, when he travelled. And of course, Franklin was one of the founders of the University of Pennsylvania in 1751 under the banner of useful knowledge. And Franklin's influence on what was going on across Europe in the Enlightenment inspired our founder to leave in his will a requirement to create a place of useful learning here in the city. He was a professor of physics at Glasgow University, but wanted a different institution to be established with that motto, useful learning. And please remember that as you go forward, because it still defines our purpose as a leading international technological university that is committed to being socially progressive in all that we do. So, for example, across the campus, in the buildings that you'll have passed today on your way here to the Barony Hall, our academics and students are developing drugs to diagnose and fight diseases. For example, we have several drugs in clinical trials for cancer diagnostics and treatment, kidney disease, infection management and inflammatory diseases. Strathclyders are producing new energy technologies and policy solutions to tackle climate change and to establish a low-carbon economy. We are revolutionising global manufacturing, helping to create the Industry 4.0, the next industrial revolution through robotics, automation, AI and data science. And our students, we're so proud of them. They continue their work in low-income countries, establishing clean water and power supplies, deploying healthcare systems in remote communities, bringing education to corners where they travel, and introducing new telecommunications infrastructure. Some of them are transferring knowledge and bringing prosthetic limb and bioengineering technologies to those in need. And importantly, we also seek to work with government and its agencies through public policy advice on national economic strategy, on the strategies for education, health, energy and innovation. Our Technology and Innovation Centre down in George Street, that was a game-changer investment for us just 8 or 9 years ago. That is working now to re-industrialise Glasgow in the west of Scotland, and that particular focuses around energy, photonics and pharmaceuticals. Another American, Thomas Edison, called his technology teams in his laboratories his inventions factory. Well, TIC, as we call it, has become our innovations factory. And we've further reinforced our distinctive contribution by creating Scotland's first innovation district, the Glasgow City Innovation District. Nancy mentioned the powerhouses that our universities are, Manchester, through Nancy's leadership, here in Glasgow through Strathclyde, bringing academics, great talent such as yourself, investors and businesses together. And the Glasgow City Innovation District, in partnership with the Glasgow City Council, Chamber of Commerce, Scottish Enterprise and Business, are working on medtech, fintech, quantum technologies, industrial AI, 5 and 6G communications and space technology. And who knew that in Glasgow, outside California, we have the largest small satellite manufacturing capability in the world. Well, there are about 130 companies working in that area, and that total innovation district has around 1,600 companies working in a square half mile around this building. And others are investing in us. Recently, one of our double alum, Charles Wang, he has an MBA and a PhD from this place, came forward, got in touch with me and my team and donated £50 million to Strathclyde. And we have been investing in creating a new international business hub for him. And we're taking the old student union building, investing £30 million to create a new digital entrepreneurship and innovation hub. And out at the airport, now that we're in the holiday season and you're flying off to Greece or Spain, wherever it might be, have a look at the northwest side of the runway as you leave. And there's two very large new buildings there. A large anonymous one, purple roofed with a serrated roof. That's the National Manufacturing Institute for Scotland. And adjacent to it is the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre, combined with other facilities we have there. A £250 million investment, capturing again for Scotland what many of our fathers and our grandfathers did in this part of the world, and that was make things. Service industry is important. The horizon industries that we talked about will take us into the future, but manufacturing anchors jobs and anchors capability. So our commitment to useful learning means that we provide business and industry with the tools they need to be more innovative and to promote economic growth, creating jobs and providing us all with a better life that is both sustainable and healthy. But most importantly, and those of you who are graduating today have a particular focus on this, that education provides people with the opportunity to transform their lives and the lives of their families. As I mentioned earlier, we still attract many first-generation university students to Strathclyde, like me, like many of my staff that are on the stage here with us. And that's some of the reasons why we've attracted external recognition over recent years in terms of what we do, but just as importantly, how we do it. We're the only UK university to have won the Times Higher University of the Year twice. We've been the Entrepreneurial University of the Year, the UK's Research Project of the Year, talking about not just what we're achieving, but how we collaborate and operate. This year, we're the Daily Mail League Table Compilation Scottish University of the Year, and we were pipped at the post by Imperial College to be the UK University of the Year, but I can tip my hat to Imperial on that one. And Alistair McCall, who was the league table compiler for the Times and Sunday Times for many years, said about us this year, and I quote, "Strathclyde's the epitome of a progressive 21st century university, seeking to shape and change society for the better through the pursuit of educational excellence and social change, and still a place of useful learning, just as it set out to be more than 200 years ago." And this time last year, at a ceremony in Barcelona, Strathclyde was named the European Entrepreneurial University of the Year. And just last week, and I know how important this is for our students, as it is for society at large in terms of sustainability, the Times Higher Education Impact Rankings for 2024 were published, and we came in at joint 25th, talking about our contributions to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which is a real regular topic for me and my student leadership. So these are indicators of Strathclyde's ability to have a disproportionate impact. And may I say, apart from all this research, our biggest impact comes from you. Our graduates today, you are our biggest and most powerful contribution to society. Your ambition, your leadership, where you're going to take your careers, that is what is going to make the difference. Here in Scotland, the Scottish Government allocates £1.2 billion of investment into higher education, but in return, they get £10 billion from the sector in gross value added into the Scottish economy. And the faculty, led by Professor Ian Rivers, who's on the stage with me today for the Humanities and Social Sciences, and the Strathclyde Institute of Education and our Centre for Lifelong Learning, give me great encouragement and hope for what they're doing. And I cannot list all of their great achievements, but there are many. For example, Dr. Leila Adamson of the Strathclyde Institute for Education received a major grant from the British Academy to work with colleagues in Tanzania, that outreach into the world. Professor Chunjit Mann in English, David Murphy in French, working on an AHRC project involving collaboration with heritage partners in Scotland, how to decolonise collections and promote greater diversity. Our law clinic celebrates its 20th anniversary, which has helped now over 6,000 people, many of whom locked away from legal representation, who have won or saved over £2 million for their clients. And that is an award-winning clinic in your faculty. Dr. Inge Burney was invited to give evidence to the Children, Education and Young People Committee of the Scottish Parliament on behalf of the Scottish Council of Deans of Education on the new Scottish Languages Bill, and looking at the role of Scots and Gaelic in our curriculum, and many more, and too much more to mention, other than to say this and other achievements provides the exciting context within which you should view your awards. You're now graduates of a university that places students at the heart of what we do, because we value excellence in both education and research, and we create strong partnerships, not just with business and industry, but with civic society and society at large. And with regard to internationalisation, universities, and the best universities, contribute to collaborate and compete on the world stage, and we're no different. We have strong strategic partnerships in North America with Stanford, MIT and New York University, with strong links in North America with Waterloo in Canada. In China, deep links with Peking and Tsinghua. In spite of the headwinds we have in terms of international collaboration, we focus our work with them, number 1 and 2 universities in China, around sustainability, renewable energy and decarbonisation. And we work alongside the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. And of course, in spite of the challenges and the disruption that Brexit brought us, the soft power of universities are critically important to maintain that fabric of exchange between the UK and Europe, in spite of the political backdrop. So the mobility of our staff and our students, the exchange of ideas, will make sure that there are greater opportunities for you, our graduates today, as the sector tries to show a degree of enlightenment in maintaining those bridges with our colleagues in Europe. And just last month, we announced a couple of exciting initiatives in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, where, for example, in Riyadh, we've just announced a new partnership and presence in Saudi with Princess Noura University, the world's largest all-women's university, with some 35,000 students, making our contribution to social progress in that country, to upskill women in the kingdom in topics including engineering, technology, science, business and the humanities. And of course, all of you, and I'm sure you're aware of it, have benefited directly from being part of an international university. It's helped you emerge with the skills necessary for yourselves and Scotland and those other parts of the world that you will pursue your careers in, because you've been exposed to the richness and value of different cultures and traditions, so important as you step forward and play your full role as global citizens. And I'll conclude by saying a little bit about socially progressive principles. We remain the leading Scottish research-intensive institution for widening participation in our programmes, bringing in here students from some of the most challenged communities in Scotland. Around 1,300 of these students joined us, communities that I belong to, within which over 500 came from the most challenged communities here in the west of Scotland. But in the same period, we maintained our position as having the joint 5th entrance requirements in UK, so dismissing the notion that widening access dilutes the educational quality. I'll have none of that. It's about making it a strategic priority. And an example, just last month, before the formal graduation season started, in this very hall, over 2 days, we had 510 to 12-year-olds here, sitting where you're sitting, with their capes on, with their mortarboards, coming from 15 primary schools within a couple of miles of here and 6 secondary schools. I tell you, if I could have bottled the energy in that room, I'd have a new form of sustainable energy. It was wonderful. And as they came across the stage, some of them running, I have to say, so I just about missed them when I was trying to cap them. They were there to celebrate achievement, give them the confidence and the fun of education. But the room was full of their mums, their dads, their grannies and grandpas and uncles and teachers. And I was addressing them when I was giving a speech less long-winded than I've given you today, because I was speaking to their parents that they need to aim high and do everything they can to allow their youngsters to achieve their potential. And it's our job at Strathclyde to keep our doors, as they are today, wide open for those with talent and aspiration to get them in here. So I'm really privileged to lead this great institution. We try to be distinctive. We have ambition, focus and momentum, and continue our work with the same agility and commitment that we all need to absorb the continuing challenges, not only in our sector, but in our daily lives. I have wonderful support from my executive team, from my academic colleagues and support staff, and I firmly believe that our founder, John Anderson, would recognise what we're doing today as the realisation of what he sought to establish during the Scottish Enlightenment, namely useful learning. And to you in the hall today, I have no doubt that the class of 2024 can truly become a vintage year. You've shown resilience, as was mentioned, great application, and ultimately now you've achieved success. And hopefully you've had some fun along the way too. We're all very proud of you. And as you leave here, you're joining a community of about 210,000 Strathclyders out there in the world. Wherever I go, which is further afield than I would like to, but I'm travelling a lot for the university. I meet Strathclyders in places of influence, making a difference, whether senior in their organisation or whether really pursuing their objectives as professionals, really touching people's lives. So wherever you choose to pursue your career and whatever you do with your degree, just remember, useful learning means that you apply your knowledge for the benefit of others. Make a positive impact for both yourselves and the communities that you belong to. Respect diversity, value freedom of expression and thought, and please reach conclusions and resolve disputes through reason and tolerance. These characterise the core values of your university. And finally, to today's celebration, we're all here to mark the fantastic achievements of those that have been awarded their degrees. On behalf of Strathclyde, I'd like to extend my sincere congratulations to each and every one of you and wish you every success in your future careers. Stay in touch with us and let us know about your progress. So well done again, and please, to all of you, enjoy the rest of this very special day. Thank you. Part of this ancient ceremony means that Fiona at the back has just given me the thumbs up, which means that the weather is good outside, which is good because as I draw us to a close, the procession of the party here on stage, we will process down the aisle. Please allow us to pass, then join us, family and friends. They're having a reception now at the Learning and Teaching Building, where we'll have a chance to mingle with you and have a conversation. And I hope you've enjoyed today's ceremony as much as we have. It's the highlight of the whole academic session. So with that, I will declare this congregation closed. Thank you very much.